The mahogany-paneled boardroom of Westbrook Country Club reeked of old money and even older prejudices. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, I could see the immaculately manicured 18th hole, the very spot where, just last week, I had watched security escort my daughter, Amy, off the course. Across the gleaming conference table, Thomas Wellington leaned back in his chair, scanning my application with barely concealed disdain. "David Chin," he drawled, exchanging smirks with the other board members. "Owner of Golden Dragon Investments." I met his gaze with a pleasant smile, though my fingers curled into fists beneath the table. At 45, I had built a financial empire from nothing. Yet to these men, I would always be an outsider trying to infiltrate their exclusive world. Wellington continued, his tone oozing condescension. "Your financial statements are impressive. But Westbrook isn't just about money. Our members come from established families. Tradition. Heritage." The way he lingered on those words made his meaning clear. I did not belong. "My daughter, Amy, is a junior golf champion," I said, keeping my voice steady. "She dreams of playing professionally. This is the only club in the region with the training facilities that could." "Perhaps you misunderstand," Elizabeth Whitman, the club's vice president, interrupted smoothly. "Westbrook is a private institution. We are very selective about membership." I knew all about their selectiveness. In its 100-year history, Westbrook had never admitted a single Asian member. Not when my friend Dr. James Park, a renowned heart surgeon, had applied last year. Not when Maria Rodriguez, the state's attorney general, had been subtly discouraged from submitting an application. But times were changing, and they didn't even realize how much. Wellington flashed a hollow smile. "We'll review your application, but I wouldn't get your hopes up. Perhaps the public course across town would be more suitable." I left without another word, driving home through the opulent enclave of Westbrook Estates, passing mansion after mansion. The people inside their grand homes had no idea what was about to happen to their precious club. Westbrook's board had mismanaged their finances for years, living off past prestige while membership declined and debts mounted. Their $100 million mortgage was now in default. And 3 months ago, through a series of carefully structured shell companies, Golden Dragon Investments had quietly purchased that mortgage. My phone buzzed. A text from my banker. "Everything is in place. Tomorrow morning, the foreclosure notice would be served." But that was only the beginning. At home, I found Amy in the backyard, practicing her swing. At 16, she was already better than most adults on the course, her dedication as sharp as her precision. "How did it go?" she asked, though her expression told me she already knew the answer. "As expected," I replied, watching her drive another ball into the practice net with flawless form. She turned to me, determined. "Dad, you don't have to fight this battle for me. I can practice somewhere else." I stepped forward, pulling her into a hug. "This isn't just about golf, sweetheart." She looked up at me, eyes thoughtful. "Like what happened to Mom?" My chest tightened. Helen had faced the same barriers in her corporate law career, fighting twice as hard to be taken seriously, proving herself again and again. We lost her to cancer 2 years ago, but her spirit of perseverance lived on in our daughter. "Exactly," I murmured. "Mom taught us that the best revenge isn't getting angry. It's succeeding so brilliantly that they can't ignore you." That night, I reviewed the documents one last time. Westbrook's financial collapse wasn't public knowledge yet, but the signs were there for anyone who knew where to look. Years of declining membership, exorbitant renovations, poor investment decisions. It had all left them vulnerable. When their mortgage went up for sale, I saw an opportunity. Not just for revenge, but for real change. The acquisition had been complex. Multiple corporations, careful timing, silent investors. But now everything was in place. At midnight, my phone rang. James Park. "Is it happening?" he asked without preamble. "Tomorrow morning. Maria's in too. We've got the investors lined up. All the people they've rejected or discouraged over the years. This is going to be epic," I said, picturing Wellington's face when he realized what was happening. But this wasn't just about humiliating them. It was about transforming Westbrook into something better. The next morning, I dressed carefully in my best suit. The foreclosure notice would be served at 9 a.m. during the board's monthly breakfast meeting. By noon, the financial papers would be buzzing. By evening, Westbrook's prestigious members would be panicking. But first, I had another stop to make. The public golf course across town, the one Wellington had so condescendingly recommended, was already bustling. Young kids from all backgrounds practiced under the watchful eye of Joe Martinez, a former pro who had made it his mission to teach golf to anyone who wanted to learn. "Mr. Chin," Joe called, waving me over. A group of teenagers, including several who had been turned away from Westbrook's youth program, paused their practice to greet me. "How's the scholarship program going, Joe?" He grinned. "Making miracles happen, one swing at a time. But we're running out of space. Sure wish these kids had access to better facilities." "Funny you should mention that." I handed him an envelope. "How would you like to run the most exclusive youth golf academy in the state?" His eyes widened as he scanned the proposal. Are you serious?" "Very. But keep it quiet until tomorrow. Things are about to get interesting at Westbrook." I drove toward the country club, thinking of Helen, of Amy, of every person who had ever been told they didn't belong. By sunset, Westbrook's old guard would learn that their time of exclusivity was over. My phone buzzed. A message from my lawyer. "Foreclosure notice being served now. Board members' faces are priceless. Standing by for phase 2. I parked across from the clubhouse, watching through tinted windows as chaos erupted inside. Wellington stormed out, face red, shouting into his phone. Other board members followed, looking shell-shocked. None of them noticed my car. Just like they had never noticed how their own prejudices had sown the seeds of their downfall. But today they were learning. I smiled, glancing at the documents in my briefcase. Plans for the future. For something new. Westbrook was about to become something revolutionary. "Ready to go home, sir?" my driver asked. "Not yet." I watched as another board member rushed to his car, panic written across his face. "The show's just getting started." I stepped into the clubhouse, expecting the usual scene of retired members leisurely playing cards and sipping cocktails. Instead, the air was thick with tension. Anxious faces huddled in hurried conversations, their voices hushed but urgent. No one stopped me. In the chaos, they had forgotten that I wasn't a member. The boardroom was packed. Thomas Wellington sat at the head of the long mahogany table, but his usual smug expression had been replaced with something far more satisfying, barely controlled panic. "Mr. Chin," he said sharply as soon as he spotted me. "This is a private meeting for members only." I stepped forward, my voice calm and measured. "Actually," I said smoothly, "as the holder of your mortgage, I have every right to be here." The room fell silent. Elizabeth Whitman gasped. "You?" I nodded, placing my briefcase on the table. "Golden Dragon Investments bought your mortgage 3 months ago, right after you rejected Dr. Park's membership application. Though technically it was Phoenix Capital that acquired it, one of my subsidiaries." Wellington's face darkened, his complexion turning an interesting shade of purple. "This is some kind of revenge scheme." "Not revenge, Mr. Wellington. Business." I pulled out a folder and laid a document before them. "Your club is in default. You have 2 choices. First, you can attempt to raise $100 million in the next 48 hours to pay off the mortgage." Someone swallowed audibly. Or, I said, glancing around the table, "you can accept my restructuring proposal." I passed out copies of the plan I had spent months crafting. Some board members skimmed the pages with disbelief. Others read with cautious interest. Wellington, however, barely glanced at his before slamming a fist on the table. "This is outrageous," he exploded. "You want to turn Westbrook into some kind of public facility?" "Not public," I corrected, keeping my voice even. "A new kind of private club. One that bases membership on merit, not ancestry. One that includes a world-class youth golf academy, open to talented players, regardless of background. One that actually makes money, instead of hemorrhaging it through mismanagement." I clicked a remote, and the boardroom screens lit up with financial projections. Graphs, figures, and membership trends flashed across the monitors. "Your current model is unsustainable," I continued. "Membership has dropped 40% in the last decade. Young families don't want to join a club known for exclusivity and discrimination. But our market research shows huge demand for what we're proposing." Elizabeth folded her arms. "And who exactly is we?" Right on cue, the boardroom doors swung open. James Park stepped in first, followed by Maria Rodriguez and Joe Martinez. Behind them, a line of accomplished professionals, doctors, executives, athletes, all individuals who had once been rejected or discouraged from joining Westbrook. I gestured toward them. "Meet your new investment group." Wellington gaped. "We've already secured commitments for $200 million in capital improvements," I continued. The Youth Academy will be run by Joe Martinez, whose public course program has already produced 3 state champions. Dr. Park will chair the new membership committee. And Maria, well, you all know Maria. She brings valuable legal expertise. Wellington shook his head furiously. You can't do this. The members will never allow it. Maria stepped forward, smiling coolly. You mean the members who have been calling my office all day? The ones who've seen their equity shares become worthless under your leadership. James added, We've already spoken with over 60 current members who support the restructuring. They understand that change is necessary for survival. I stood, leveling my gaze at the board. You have 48 hours to make your decision. Either find the money to pay off the mortgage, or accept our proposal. I leaned in slightly. Either way, the old Westbrook dies today. The next 2 days were a storm of negotiations and desperation. Wellington and his allies scrambled to raise the funds, but the banks, having been quietly warned of Westbrook's dire financial situation, declined. Other country clubs saw an opportunity to poach Westbrook's most prestigious members and offered no assistance. Meanwhile, our investor group met with key members, sharing the vision for a new Westbrook. The response was even better than we had anticipated. The younger generation, tired of having to justify their club's outdated policies to business associates and friends, welcomed the transformation with open arms. By 5 p.m. on the second day, Wellington called to concede. The restructuring would proceed. The transformation of Westbrook began immediately. The physical changes, upgrading the facilities, modernizing the clubhouse, building the youth academy, were the easiest part. The cultural shift, however, was the real challenge. We introduced a blind membership application process, removing names and demographics from initial reviews. Candidates were evaluated on their potential contributions to the club, not just financial, but in terms of mentorship, diversity of experience, and sportsmanship. The Youth Academy became the heart of our new mission. Under Joe's leadership, it attracted young, talented players from all backgrounds. Amy was one of the first instructors, mentoring younger kids while pursuing her own professional career. 6 months after the takeover, we hosted a special tournament. The players included rising stars from the academy, longtime members, and notable professionals. The media covered it extensively, praising Westbrook's remarkable evolution, from an exclusive enclave to a model of modern club management. Wellington showed up, perhaps hoping to find cracks in the new foundation. Instead, he saw a club buzzing with energy. The golf course was in pristine condition. The membership waitlist was longer than ever. Quite a change, I said as I encountered him on the terrace. He stared out at the 18th hole, watching as a diverse group of players, young and old from different backgrounds, finished their round. He exhaled slowly. I still think you did this for revenge, he muttered. I shook my head. No, Thomas. I did it because my daughter deserved better. Because everyone's children deserve better. The world is changing. Private clubs can either change with it, or die clutching their outdated traditions. 1 year later, we held a special ceremony. The old plaques listing past club presidents, all white, all male, were respectfully moved to the club's museum. In their place, a new mission statement stood. Westbrook Country Club celebrates excellence in golf and character, welcoming all who share our values of sportsmanship, mentorship, and community. Our traditions are honored by creating new ones. That evening, I found Amy on the same 18th hole where security had once escorted her away. Now, she wore a club instructor's badge, guiding a young girl through her swing. Mom would be proud, she said as I approached. Not just of the changes, but of how you made them happen. I watched the sunset cast golden light over the course, thinking of Helen. She had always said that true change doesn't come from tearing things down, but from building something better. Looking at the transformed Westbrook, at the camaraderie, the mutual respect, the sense of genuine community, I knew we had done exactly that. The next morning, I was having breakfast in the clubhouse with James, Maria, and Joe, reviewing applications for the Youth Academy, when a familiar figure approached. Mr. Chin, Wellington said stiffly. He hesitated. I wondered if you had a moment. We stepped aside. He looked uncomfortable, but determined. My granddaughter, he began, clearing his throat. She's 12. Loves golf. Her private instructor says she has real potential. I was wondering, would she be eligible for the Youth Academy? I smiled. The Academy evaluates all applicants equally, Mr. Wellington. If she has the talent and dedication, she'll be welcomed. Just like everyone else. He nodded slowly. The lesson had been taught, without a single word spoken. As I watched him walk away, I recalled something Helen used to say. The best revenge isn't about destroying what exists. It's about creating something so much better that the old way becomes irrelevant. Westbrook had become that something better. We hadn't just changed a golf club. We had changed minds. And somewhere I knew Helen was smiling.